Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the final episode of the McBasketcast ever in history. This is the last episode of the show that you will ever see. But fear not, because I've saved the best for last. Ladies and gentlemen, I can't believe it. I don't know how I got him here, but ladies and gentlemen, Tyler fucking Mallon is on the show.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah. Well, it's great to have you on, Tyler. Just as you know, a, as big of a name in the NR community as you are, it's great to have you here. Um,
No, thank you.
yes, but um, we'll get into talking more about Tyler later. I'm gonna start it off with everybody's favorite segment, just last week. So so last week, my internship ended, so summer's drawing to a close. Um, they gave me a chair for my efforts. It's pretty cool. It was this chair that we had in the crew room down there at the GFC. And one day I asked my boss Matt. I was like, Matt, how much do you want for this chair? Because this is like the most comfortable chair in the world. It was like a chair that somebody would see at their grandparents' house, straight out of the '70s. And he was like, "Oh, you can have it." I was like, "Oh, hell yeah!" So, um, where I was, we had pop-up showers every single afternoon for about 2 weeks straight. So, and I knew it was going to rain on my way home, so we ended up just covering the thing in trash bags and duct tape to make sure that the chair didn't get wet. But he got here safe and sound. It's back in good old Tifton, Georgia. Yeah, I just doxed myself. I told you what city I'm in. Come find me. I'm just a show host. What are you gonna do? Um, but fall's coming up. The semester's coming up for all of you college people and those still in high school. Y'all are already back in school, as at least where I'm at. Um, you're all in school, and um, not too much to say on the NR front of anything happening last week. I kind of took a step back this week to record for this show and all of that. But ladies and gentlemen, just in the nick of time, Maverick Minute is back. So we're gonna break down the Maverick Indianapolis race. So um, I actually didn't take part in it because I was visiting my dad for the week, and but I was able to watch the broadcast. And it how how do you start a race by causing a straight up sport ender on lap one? Like half the field was in that wreck. That was insane. Tyler, did you watch the Maverick race at all?
I was in a call with people who were watching it, and they were very entertained. I gotta say that.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Maverick brings the viewers to JTN. If it wasn't for Maverick, Joe Toyansky would be working at McDonald's. But yeah, hopefully this week, um, just depending on my schedule and stuff, I can get back into a Maverick race. It's gonna be at like Watkins Glen. I can't show up if it's Watkins Glen. I can't show up. I'm not a road racer. I am
Me
not
neither.
Jerry Cook.
I don't think any of us can beat Jerry right now. He's on a whole nother level at the road courses. I'm definitely nowhere near him either.
Exactly. I think Jerry is just a reincarnation of Ayrton Senna. That's what I think. That's the only logical explanation to this.
Zach Rogers is also pretty good. I've gotta give him a shout out for that at road courses, or else he's gonna give me some flack for not mentioning him. So we'll get that out of the way right there.
Yes, shout out episode 10 guest Zach Rogers. Woo! Actually, that
Yay.
episode's like about to reach 60 views, which is
Really?
yeah, like it it's been crazy because it's been all about the timing of when I drop the episodes. I figured out because the Dan Wilkins episode has like 20 or so views because I dropped it on, a Wednesday or Thursday, but everything else has been over 30 views. And that's crazy. But Jerry's episode still remains the most viewed at 79 views right now, which is, I
Does
mean,
not surprise me.
yeah, I mean that's still a lot. Um, yeah, I I got lucky when Jerry came on the show really because it the first episode nobody took that seriously, nobody at all. But luckily, big thanks to Jerry, he, um, you know, took an hour out of his day to come on the show and be interviewed and ended up really putting the show on the map to where people really started tuning in. And I don't think this show would be at the level it was without him. So, Jerry, if you're watching, thank you.
Hi, Jerry.
Yes, I'm Jerry. I'm Jerry, by the way.
Oh,
Um,
hi, Jerry. I didn't know I was being interviewed by you.
yes, I'm Jerry, by the way. I'm Jerry. You're Jerry. Everybody's Jerry. Are there any more Jerrys I need to know of?
I feel like we're all Jerry in some way.
Absolutely. But I mean, but the time for talk is now past. It's time to get into the interview with the guest that everybody's been waiting for since they saw this episode drop. Sitting down with Mr. Tyler Mallon, and we're gonna get right into it, as I do with all my guests, and start at the very beginning. So, Tyler, when did you start driving in NR, and what got you into it?
Well, what got me into it was I saw those big crash compilations on YouTube in about I want to say 2015, 2016. That was always a good time passer because I was a console racer before this. I was always racing on NASCAR Inside Line on the Xbox, and I I didn't really know what else was out there until I went onto YouTube and saw that NR 2003 existed. So I started looking at those crash comps because those were the main source of videos at the time. And then we saw, um, well, I looked up how to download it, and I found a video and downloaded it, and spent the first about year and a half starting to just play with AI and mess around the default tracks. I didn't even know you could download new tracks. That's that's weird to think about. But when I did figure that out, I also saw that there was an online race league out there back on Sim Racing Design. I When that was still around, SRD, that was a big website at the time. But people were posting about an online league there, and this was about 2017, I want to say. I got on there and I, I tried to join it, and I sucked. I was so bad when I started. So that's probably that's kind of my origin story, I guess. It was a fun experience just starting out this new game, and well, new for me. I wouldn't say it's new by any means, but yeah, that's where I started out.
Well, um, I mean, everybody's got to start somewhere. Everybody sucks at one point in NR, don't they?
Oh yeah, I
A
mean
couple of
it's
us, a couple of us suck at multiple points, but we're not going to talk about that. Uh, I'm gonna try to not bring up Melanchar Lights in this interview, but
thank you.
it's bound to happen.
I understand.
It gave me some of my funniest moments in NR, so it's not as bad as you think. Looking at Maverick, you're like, yeah, Melancholy Lights was actually kind of good, but but
Sure.
I want to ask, so you're always you wherever you go, you're always driving the 18, and you're always driving the interstate batteries scheme. Is why is that? Were you just a Bobby Labonte fan back in the day, or do you just think it's cool, or what's the thing behind that?
I have always been a huge Bobby Labonte fan. Back in about 2006, I was 3 years old at the time. I was my mom and dad. I think they were watching TV or something and just flipping through channels, and they scrolled through a NASCAR race, and I was like, "Hold on, go back to that," because I was three and cars are cool or something. Um, and then it turned out to be a rerun of the 2003 Spring Atlanta race. Bobby Labonte won that race, and my favorite color at the time was green. So naturally, any driver who can win a race in a green car has to be the best driver on the planet. So that started off me being a NASCAR fan in general, and also a Bobby Labonte fan, and I've kind of stuck with that ever since. So running that scheme is kind of my my tribute to that, I guess.
Wow, so you must have been watching NASCAR for like a long time.
I
Is
have
that
most of my life.
I got you. I really only started watching it in 2014 when my dad took me to the Atlanta race in the fall. Um, excuse me. And on the way, he was like, "Who are you gonna root for?" And I remembered vaguely Kevin Harvick's Shell Pennzoil car, and I just thought, the Shell car, and he was like, "Oh, Joey Logano." And I was like, yeah, him. So I ended up rooting for Joey Logano for quite some time, and really all of Team Penske, and I mean, really just all the Fords, because I grew up, just in a Ford household. Blue ovals were just about all we drove. I mean, my dad, he's got a 2015 Fusion, a '97 F350. He bought me a 2006 F350, F250. I'm sorry, but I was basically just railroaded into supporting Fords, which has come back to bite me in the ass this season.
Yeah,
but
they've not. They've been struggling a bit.
you can imagine my happiness during championship week last season. That I celebrated a lot, because I mean all three series had Fords win the title. That's pretty cool. I mean, gotta love it.
Very happy for you. Uh, I did not have a good time that championship weekend because I am a Christopher Bell fan, so I spent the rest of the week just contemplating suicide, basically. So that was pretty. That was a pretty bad week.
Yeah, there's Mondays of Thunder has recordings, or used to have recordings of me just doing like live updates of the Truck Series Championship race, about half drunk, with a bottle of vodka in my hand. That's been a trend across my NR career. Is just alcohol is involved in some way in my most notable moments.
I can think of one.
You know what? That's it. We're gonna address the elephant in the room. Yeah, I'll admit it. I drank a Four Loco before the fucking Mellon Car Light Charlotte race. Okay, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? I thought I was so good at Charlotte that I could race it drunk off of a Four Loco. Okay, I did it. I
That
shouldn't
is
have done it.
probably the lights moment of all time. When I came around turn four and just saw the 81 Taco Bell cars sitting in the racing line, stopped in the middle of the front stretch, and then someone came around and hit you at full speed.
I know. I felt so bad after that race. I was like, I fucked up. I fucked up royally. Oh god.
Yeah.
And then everybody proceeded to make fun of me anywhere I went for the next 6 months. I could not like run an NR race without
Oh
somebody
no.
asking, like, how drunk are you right now, or whatever.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's all cool.
I may
It,
have started that.
it
Sorry.
it is what it is. I'm sorry for not taking Melon Car Light seriously.
Oh,
Uh,
nobody did. Don't be sorry. It's I mean, some people did a little too much, let's be honest. We had that one guy who was like, "I have the attitude of a
Oh,
41-year-old
fucking Franco
war
Lopeman!
veteran."
Yes, that's
That
like
was
one of my favorite
insane.
parts of NR. Oh my god. I wish I was still in the Meloncar Light server, if it's even still up, to
It's
go
gone.
back and read through that. That was the funniest shit ever.
There were
Oh
some
my
moments that I
god.
really wish I saved before deleting that server.
Oh my god, that was so funny. Like I would I was just giggling like a damn moron reading through that. It was the funniest thing. And then he's like, "Oh, I'll give you a Minecraft Discord server URL or something if you don't restrict me or something like that."
Oh my god.
Shout out Franco Lopeman if you're still here.
I doubt he's watching, but oh man.
Uh, gotta love it. But we're gonna get back on track here, folks. So Tyler, you've won, countless NR races. I mean, if you're in a race, there's about a 50-50 shot that you will win it. So when did that first of many wins come?
That first win came at Riki Raceway in the lower series of the league that I started out in. I think I was driving the '65 Goodyear Toyota for some reason. I don't know. I just liked the Goodyear logo, so I put that on the cars back then. But that that was by far my best performance at the time because every other performance in every other race was usually just me spinning out at least 4 times and being 2 seconds off the pace and getting in people's way and generally just being a nuisance. So to get that first win back then meant a lot to me because I back then I was another person who took the took things a little too seriously sometimes. But that I don't remember who was pushing me to the win, but it was a plate race. So that looking back on it, it was like, oh yay, a plate race. But at the time, it was a big thing. That was the first time I'd ever even been in contention, and I remember feeling like I kind of lucked into it, but also, you know, who cares? It's a win. I'll take it.
I mean, hey, my first win in NR out that isn't Mondays of Thunder. It actually came at Talladega Super Speedway in the Cars Truck Series. So there's nothing wrong with winning at super speedways. I mean
Oh, absolutely not.
I'm a super speedway merchant. Like I will straight up admit that. That those are my best tracks. I mean, it's just I don't understand how people are bad at super speedways
I
unless you unless you
I don't
bump
know.
draft in the corners. Shout out Jelani Howell.
So I've got a funny story about that. My very first race actually, um I didn't know you couldn't push in the corners. It was at Daytona. I oh god. Like literally coming around to complete lap 1, I was like, "Oh, I'll help this guy out." And I pushed the I don't remember what car it was, but I pushed him in the tri-oval and it was right towards kind of mid pack, and the whole field behind me was dead. So that that was most
Whoops.
people's first impression of me in the online community. It was kind of a tragedy. But I didn't have a microphone back then, so the only thing could do was use the sorry hotkey. So that probably didn't help me very much.
Shout out to the sorry hotkey. I think that's one of like the first hotkeys that I actually replaced to say something else. I can't remember. Uh,
Couldn't replace it because I spent my first year just doing stupid stuff and being terrible. So I spent half the race pressing that hotkey.
but moving on now. So out of all these wins, Tyler, what has to be your favorite? What is like the one that you look back on most fondly?
Probably. Oh gosh, let me think for a second. That's actually a really hard one. I've had a lot of great battles with people. I had some in my own league that came down to the last couple laps. Bomb Squad Racing, I've had a couple that came down to the last couple laps there. I like the ones that obviously, they're late race battles, but I think my favorite absolutely has to be the 2023 Bomb Squad second Darlington Cup race. Um, so the the way it played, we had a 70 lap green flag run to the end, or 80 laps or something. So we had multiple green flag pit stops. The people in contention were myself, Brandon Hawken, and Jovan Anderson. Two excellent drivers. If you don't know Brandon Hawken, he was the guy that was absolutely on top of this game when I first started racing. So people used to keep a list of people who have finished second to Brandon Hawken, and they would basically count that as a win. So I he was absolutely the like at the top of the game then. That was back in like 2016, 2017. He's still really good. I don't know why I'm saying that like he's not good anymore or he's washed. He is still probably on top. But we came into this Darlington race thinking, oh, here's Brandon. He just won the Watkins Glen race a couple weeks ago. He might win this one. Probably has a pretty good chance. And we start the run, and he just absolutely drives away. Like he's got a 4 second lead in the first 15 laps of the run. And Joven and I are sitting there like, there's no way he can hold this pace for the entire run, right? It's Darlington, and there's like 3 seconds of tire fall off. So he gradually starts falling back to us, very very slowly at first, and then we um, we got by him, and we were like, oh, okay. So he ended up short pitting both times, splitting the run into thirds, kind of, to get the best, most optimal time, kind of. You know what I mean? The way the math works out, if you split the run into even parts, it's going to be the fastest. But we get down to the end of the race. He short pitted me by about 7 laps, I want to say, and I come out about 3 seconds behind him. So he's made up like 10 seconds just by short pitting. But the tire difference is big enough that I catch back up to him like with 3 laps to go. And so I'm going like maybe 3 or 4 tenths faster because of the tire difference. And he is absolutely defending like his life depends on it. And he did a fantastic job. And we come out of turn four side by side, and we run all the way down to the inside wall on the front stretch. And then I'm sitting there like, I got to make the corner. I don't know what to do. So we drift back up, and somehow in turn one, I don't slide up into him. And we I ended up getting by him, and that with I think two to go, but that was probably my that's definitely actually my favorite win to date. Joven unfortunately got caught up in some traffic and got taken out of contention by that. But that battle, beating the person who was absolutely on top when I started this game, that was pretty cool for me personally.
Yeah, it's always nice to feel. Um, it's always a good feeling when you kill a giant in the NR community, and you it's just this like holy shit, did I actually do that? You know, it's much like this time in Mondays of Thunder when I was able to hold off Alex Jarvie, who is still one of the greatest drivers in that league's history. He was insane. He was the Tyler Mallon of Mondays of Thunder. It was like, oh, Alex joined. We're not winning today. Um, but he got caught up in some traffic late in the race, and it was just me and another MOT driver, Matt Moss, um, up in the front, and we had an amazing battle. It probably lasted maybe 10 laps or something like that down at the end of the race where I noticed a mistake that he was making. He was coming up too early off the corner, and I was able to exploit that and get under him and get past him. But then here comes Alex Jarvie, and it's like the last lap. It's Kansas, and I am running for my life. And he gets to my bumper off of turn 4 and cuts down below me, and it was a drag race to the finish line. I ended up
That
turning
sounds
myself.
awesome.
I was able to um, I turned myself across his front bumper and just slid sideways across the line and won the race. That was my second ever online win right there, but it's definitely one of my favorites.
That's pretty
Doing that,
cool.
and i- we had another driver, Irvin, who used to stream his races on Twitch, so he was in there with us, and he was on a team with Alex and our league owner Jess, and Jess has got taken out earlier in the race, so he was just spectating, and all you can hear on Irvin's stream coming to the line is, "Oh, oh, oh!" from Jess. He was going fucking nuts up there, dude. But that was such a cool finish. So I definitely know where you're coming from when you talk about beating some of the best.
Oh boy, I sure do enjoy a night of gaming with an ice cold Coors banquet. Ah, just the refreshing kick I need between War Thunder matches, even though I suck ass. Mmm, Rocky Mountain water. Why, yes. Sure is a nice night, isn't it, Tristan? Robert, the beef is over. Oh, I beg to differ, sir. Started us a game we never got to finish. Admitted you were wrong, Robert. I'm not in it to be right anymore. I'm in it for the money. What money? Don't play dumb with me. I know the millions you made off this podcast. The millions? You mean the millions that I buried in the old Confederate cemetery? Outside of town? In an unmarked grave? It was never about the fucking money, Robert. It was never about the money. I started this because I wanted something that the community could go and watch and enjoy all together. I was so sick of seeing a fucking nuclear bomb go off in general after every single race in some league every single week. That's why I did it. And now you've come to kill me because of it? No, I'm not gonna kill you over it. Because you know which unmarked grave. So I'm gonna have to take you with me. Won't happen, Robert. I'm not leaving my chair just so you can get your money. I tell you what.
So Tyler, you've won plenty of races. You've attended a whole bunch of races in your career. What would you have to say is probably the best NR race you've um, were able to bear witness to, whether it be actually racing in the race or just being a spectator?
Probably, um, that's that's a good question. I'm leaning towards the season 2 Mellon Car Cup Auto Club race. It was the second race of the season. We had 37 cars, and we went caution free for the 100-lap race. That was amazing, especially after the not so great Daytona race we had. But yeah, the it came down to like 5 or 6 cars in the lead draft because it's Auto Club and every big track is a draft track in this game. But Jovan Anderson ended up coming out on top for that one. After I think he only led the last 5 or 6 laps, but it was a fantastic race because how do you go caution free with 37 cars in it? And that probably was the peak of Melon Car for me is that race when everybody raced each other decently clean. Everybody was pretty patient. Everyone was, working to save their tires well, and I don't think anybody got into each other all race. It was I didn't even. I went back to sixth, unfortunately, but I lost the draft. But that probably being able to go caution free with 37 cars is by far the best race I've ever seen. Like I've never seen another. I've never been in another race with that many cars that have had less than like 5 or 6 cautions at least, and at least one sport ender. So to be able to do that with that group of drivers was fantastic.
Well, I mean, races that go green all the way are always going to be um, really good races. Well, I wouldn't say always. Sometimes the pack just gets spread out and it ends up just being a domination. But there are those also that end up being really good. So that makes a lot of sense to why it's one of the best you've seen. But now it's time to go to the worst one. What
Oh
is
boy.
the worst race you have ever seen
This is
in
probably gonna
NR?
be a longer answer, but you remember the were you there for the season 3 Lights Bristol race?
Yes, I was there. I was
You were
there.
there for
I
that,
got a
yeah.
top 10 that race. That was like my only top 10. Actually, no, that was my second top 10 in Mellon Car Lights history. I was there. Oh my gosh.
I don't even remember like who was in that race, but I just remember get we start the race. We're like, I knew it going into the race that it was gonna be a pretty bad race. I mean, it's Lights at Bristol, and
The name of it literally written down on the spreadsheet was like social
yeah, it was a
experiment.
social experiment just to see how it would go. And it went far worse than I could ever have thought it would go. Somehow, we ended up having. I've got. Let me look at the spreadsheet for the incidents. But I think we had 25 cautions in 150 laps. I don't think we ever went green for more than 2 corners. So that was pretty awful. I had people intent wrecking each other under caution, and
Alex
then
Mullen.
yeah, there you go. And then getting very upset with me to this day still for getting angry at them for wrecking under caution after I said not to.
Alex Mullen. That
Yeah,
race is where the legendary Alex Mullen clip comes from, where it's just, I am not calm. Holy shit. That is one of the greatest pieces of NR Lost Media ever because I can't remember who recorded it, but their channel got taken down.
yeah, I
They
was
used
just
to
it
have the
was Roman
whole stream of
Gonzalez.
that. Yes, Roman
He was
Gonzalez. One of
he's
the
a cool guy.
greatest pieces of NR Lost Media is
Oh my
the
god.
full live stream of that race, but we still have, luckily, a nice clip of it that can be found sometimes.
So yeah, we managed to have a 20 car pileup at Bristol. I don't understand how that was really possible. I mean, you'd think people would just hit the brakes a little, but they didn't. So that was probably one of the worst races, and I ended that race in a pretty bad mood afterwards. But I didn't even race in it. I was just watching it. But that was a pretty disappointing one. Another one was the only time I ever ran the Maverick Cup Series. It was Atlanta. I ran the 32 C&J Energy car that Bobby Labonte ran in 2015 or 2016. I don't remember which version it was, but I mean it's the same scheme, so it doesn't matter. But we never got past turn 2 without a caution. It was 100 and something laps. It was a very long race because Maverick likes to do long races. And then I think it took 2.5 hours just to get past, you know, eventually I just ended up parking. I don't usually park early. I always like to at least finish out the races, but that was one of the few times you'll ever see me actually leave a race early, barring some kind of, horrific accident or crash. But we never, I think, I don't even remember what the caution count was, but I have not run the Maverick Cup Series since. I've been asked to, but I have not. I remember Mike Seneca, the legendary ARCA driver, was in that race.
Oh
He
no,
got
no,
ejected from.
you're wrong. He's actually Camping World Truck Series driver Mike Seneca.
Oh, you're right. Okay.
Yes, he was actually parked by NASCAR for being too slow at one race. But
Well,
yes,
if this tells you how bad he is, he was parked in Maverick for causing too many crashes. So
there's a single clip that I know of that can sum up Mike Seneca's career in Maverick. It was at the Daytona race. Um, like the one that really put Maverick on the map with JTN, as being like the meme series where Mike Seneca goes down the track. It's on the backstretch and he like spins out on the backstretch and he goes back up. He is perpendicular to the backstretch wall, goes right head first into the backstretch wall, damn near intentionally. It looked intentional that he was doing it, and just gets fucking T-boned by another car.
no.
But Mike Seneca, everybody, shout out Mike Seneca. Love it.
Yeah. I remember laughing for like 5 minutes when I saw Mike Seneca disconnected on the top of the server because he got ejected.
How do you
Uh,
get fucking ejected from a
he got
Maverick
ejected
race?
from Maverick.
How do you do that?
I don't know. That was. I mean, I guess that's an accomplishment in its own right. Uh, yeah, that was pretty tragic. Oh, another really bad race. Was I forget what the league was called. EPRS Atlanta, the second race we ever did there.
Ah, that's the one that everybody talks about.
Oh yeah, that one was really bad. It was 82 laps, and it somehow took 2 hours to complete. Um, it was a disaster. I remember I was like the only car that didn't get involved in a crash that day until 2 to go when the leader spun his tires on the restart and spun into me, and I got plowed and flipped. I think that's how it went anyway. I don't even remember. But I wasn't very happy after that race either. When you spend 2 hours pacing, uh, and you're not involved in a wreck, and then you end up still not winning. That can get a little frustrating, but it is what it is. It's not really a race you want to be associated with anyway. So
Yeah. I mean, that race was not representative of EPRS at all because
oh no, absolutely not.
back in the day, EPRS used to be awesome back whenever I was running, and by running, I mean cheating in it. Um,
Good job.
yeah, I'm not. It was like 2 years ago. It's been over 2 years ago since I got busted. I could say it now. I cheated like hell in EPRS.
Oh, we know you did.
But it was cool. It was a cool feeling running down Ashton Champion in the tryout race, just so Ashton Champion didn't win, and basically being seen as like a god to those people for a short amount of time.
Mm.
But but that does not excuse the cheating. It Those of you who are watching, do not cheat. If you feel the need to cheat in a what 21-year-old video game just to feel cool, you might need to reevaluate your life choices.
Yeah, I mean, we all have experiences with not all of us, but you're I cheated once back in Fast in like 2017. That was my big mistake. But we all overcome these things. You spend the time trying to repair those bridges that you burned down with that. But
Yeah, I mean,
it
luckily, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off here, Malin, but it does.
oh no, of course.
I do have a good discussion point here. Luckily, usually people that cheat are like shunned from the NR community forever. I had been like after all that stuff came out in EPRS, I got suspended from Gnarl, completely banned from EPRS, suspended from cars where I was leading the points in the truck series. It it was a pretty shitty situation, but luckily I think it was through Twitter or something I was able to find Melon Car Lights, and you thanks to you still allowing me to run in your league even though I had cheated in another league. You helped me get on the road to coming back to the community and trying to get back in good graces with them. And you could have banned me on the spot right there, but you didn't. And seriously, that's noble as fuck of you. And I can't thank you enough because I don't think I would still be here in the NR community if it wasn't for you and Melon Car Lights.
Well, I'm glad you're still here. But yeah, I believe in second chances like that. A lot of people were nice enough to give me a second chance a couple years after my experience with that. So if I don't, unless you're just like absolutely, as long as you learn from your mistakes is what really matters. I don't believe that you've cheated in a race ever since. I haven't ever cheated in a race ever since. It was a Charlotte race, I think. Yeah, it was Charlotte back in 2017, 2018, one of those. No, it was 2018. My bad. But yeah, it's learning from your mistakes and working your way back through. Because I mean, I got banned from everywhere. That was when we had the Sim Racing Association thing where it was like 9 or 10 very big leagues with a lot of people in it, all in one TeamSpeak server, um, working together to boost their attendance and promote each other. So I got banned from pretty much every decently major league still in this game at the time, and I remember going back to running like leagues with like 3 or 4 cars on track at a time, which it's working through that. I met some great people through those leagues, by the way, those smaller leagues. But it's working back up to get the respect of people is probably is really the only thing you can do at that point. And eventually, actually, last year, I'm sorry, in 2022, I was allowed to run fast again, thanks to Randall Coleman, who's a awesome person, by the way. He's a great guy. I love hanging out with him. Randall, I wish we talked more actually, but
I mean, it's always a good time whenever Randall shows up in a Mondays of Thunder race because
Randall's a
he
lot of
is a
fun.
very cool person.
But yeah, we I was allowed to run fast again, and I think that being given that second chance by by the league that got rid of me in the first place probably did not sit well with a lot of people in that league. Actually, I know it didn't sit well with a lot of people in that league. But he gave me that chance, and I'm very thankful for that because I feel like that allowed a lot of other people to say, "Hey, maybe we should, give them a second chance too." But it always takes that first person being willing to give that second chance, and it can mean a lot when they do.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that you being one of the biggest people in NR were the one to give me that second chance. That was really cool. Um yeah. But, enough with the somber music and all of that.
Any violins?
Back yeah, the sad violins or whatever. But but uh Tyler, you're one of the most well-known people in NR. You're one of those you're almost seen in the same light as, Richard Petty or Dale Earnhardt or Jeff Gordon would have in real life racing. So is there like a sense of pride or accomplishment to that whenever you're doing stuff with the NR community?
I mean, there's always a sense of accomplishment when you do well in a race, right? And when you or I'm glad I'm able to help the community in that way, and I'm glad I'm able to join races and people will respect me. I feel like, you know what I mean? Like, I hope that when I join a race, people know that I'm gonna race them cleanly, or at least do my best to. Because for me, that's more important than winning, is being a respectful, clean racer. Um, and but going out there and being able to at least have a shot at winning a lot of the races that I join is a very good feeling. I mean, there are plenty of other amazing drivers out there in this community, and to to be known as one of them is it does mean a lot to me because I have put a lot of work. I feel like I've put a lot of work in to becoming a better driver, especially after how bad I started out in this game. To so that you people will give me that respect and hopefully race me clean as well.
That yeah, that is a very good answer, Tyler. Me personally, as just your average NR community member, I do have a lot of respect for you. Just seeing your accomplishments and how you can, just give really good insight into whatever it may be about NR. It's good to have someone like you around the community with enough knowledge to, you know, be able to ask you like, hey, what do I'm slow. What do I do? What am I doing wrong at this track? Or, in a recent case, like, hey, can you run a few laps at this track with this setup to see if this guy's cheating because he's like, 5/10 ahead of the field.
I feel like if you're
But
half a second faster, it's a little obvious.
but yeah, but yeah, it's the only like really comparison that I can make with you to the NR is like you're like Superman in NR. That's what I've gathered in my experience with the community is like you Jerry Cook and maybe a few others that I'm forgetting to mention are like you know Justice League of NR. You're the biggest, you're the best. You know what's right and what's wrong.
I do. First of all, I appreciate it. I appreciate the compliment. I do my best. Um, but it is that last point, what you said about what's right and wrong. I feel like as if a good, I guess a word for this would be, I guess veteran, like for lack of a better word, being a veteran in this community, you do kind of have that responsibility to teach what is right and wrong to newcomers, like the basic like racing cleanly, not hitting other cars, uh, being patient, saving your tires, all those things. But it it does mean a lot to me to be able to help people in that way, and um, hopefully people are willing to listen to some of those tips from the more higher up drivers, I guess, for lack of a better way of putting it. Jovan Anderson's really good at helping people out too. I mean, he's way better than I am, but as long as you're able to race cleanly and respectfully in this community, you're gonna be just fine. Everybody's gonna you will become one of those respected people.
Well, thank you for that, because my next question was going to be, what information, what would you tell, somebody that's just starting out in NR, and what kind of knowledge would you give them into being a successful driver? But it seems like in your answer from that last question, you've kind of answered it for me already. So thanks for that.
No problem. One thing to add on, don't take shortcuts. If you're starting out in this game, you're not going to be fast immediately unless you're like coming from high level iRacing or something, or you're just 99% of the people who start out in this game are just not going to be good at the start. Like, it's a fact. Not meant to be, oh, you suck or anything, but when I started out in this game, I was awful. When you started out in this game, you were awful. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're
Every,
good. I was awful.
everybody is. So don't just be patient. Run laps. Race cleanly, and when you'll start to figure it out kind of as you go. And if you can find someone to help you mentor it, great. But don't make the same mistakes that you and I kind of did, and try to take a shortcut into being faster. Just let it come naturally. Let the practice help you. Run a lot of races, and you will eventually just start to get better naturally.
Well, those are very good words. Definitely words that anybody in our community should follow. Shortcuts are not the way to do it. I mean, after I got caught cheating, I said, like, I want to get faster naturally, so I turned off stability control and started running races without stability control, and it has definitely made me a faster driver on track. And so that don't ever try to shortcut this game. And I mean, you mentioned about high level and I mean high level iRacing. Even then, I can't remember who it was that said this. It was either Shane Sides or Colton Kalovich that said this, but I iRacing was like you steer the car where you want it, and NR is just kind of you point the car in the direction you want to go and hope it stays there. So there still isn't much of a connection to NR from iRacing's. It's like if you want to get into NR, you have to throw away the book that you had about any other racing game. You're gonna have to start from scratch, and you're gonna have to be bad. You're gonna have to, finish 16 laps down at Stafford Speedway like I did in my first NR start.
You finished 16 laps down.
Yes,
It's impressive.
I I basically tried to stay out of the way of the leaders all the time. So if I saw them even close to my rearview mirror, I would just put it in the wall in the turns. And had some. I also got like a couple of black flags or something because Stafford was weird about coming onto pit road, and if you came onto pit road, you would more than likely be ahead of the guy that was in front of you, so it'd give you a passing under the yellow flag, black flag. So I had to serve a couple of those. So it wasn't just pure lack of skill; it was also a bit of black flags.
I mean, you did better than I did. I thought I was like gonna immediately be competitive. Then I wrecked the field on lap two, and then later in the race, I got thrown into the catch fence, and that ended my night. So I guess I can't make fun of you for being 16 laps down because you actually finished the race, and I didn't finish my first star. So
Yeah, it looked like the Kyle Larson car at the end of the 2018 Roval race where I was just
jeez.
driving it off the wall. It was beat to shit, man. Poor little 51 Seattle Mariners car.
Mine looked more like Austin Dillon's car in the 2015 Coke Zero 400. Yeah, that was a disaster.
Yeah. Well, we're coming up on an hour in our time with the interview, so it's about time to start wrapping things up. First of all, Tyler, thank you so much for coming on the show. I cannot believe that you actually said yes to my proposal. So thank you for that. I'm glad I was able to sit down with you and finally really clear the air about some things with
Oh
you
yeah,
in
of
the
course.
past. I mean, even though you said before that like it's all right, I don't hold grudges that long, but it was nice to be able to, sit down and laugh about it now, a couple years after with you. But once again, thanks for coming on the show. Is there anybody that you want to shout out? Anybody important to you?
Um, Everybody in Bomb Squad. That's the race I race. That's the place I race at. Um, Pretty much every week nowadays. Thank you for inviting me on the show. By the way, it's been a lot of fun. I'm sorry for subjecting you to my just awful interview skills. I'm terrible at terrible at this, but I hope I gave you enough to
you
put in the podcast.
Yeah, you did great. I mean, I know how to use
Really?
open shot, so I can just I can edit out whatever I want.
Great.
I am God.
I'll be surprised if you leave anything I say in there, honestly. But thank you for having me. It's been a lot of fun.
Oh, you're absolutely welcome, Tyler. If I kept the show going, I would have told you that you can come back anytime you want. But
Wait, you're
um,
not doing it more after
you
this?
didn't
Not
know
doing like
this.
season two?
You
No, I knew you were ending. I thought it was just you're ending like season one of the show or something.
Well, people ask me if this was just like a season one thing, but after getting in my head about how I want the finale to be, um, I feel like if I did the finale how I wanted it to be, and then came back, like next summer with a season two, it wouldn't feel right. And even then, like I've already spoken with some of the biggest names in NR. I've gotten to sit down with Jerry Cook and James Hodge and a whole bunch of really big people that helped make this show great. And after that, if I would have to, go and start doing, smaller people, just, be picking random people from, mid pack Maverick or anything like that. And there's nothing wrong with those people. I don't want to say that, they're below me or below the show or anything like that, but I feel like the show wouldn't wouldn't have as much, I guess, impact as it would if I just, ended it on this episode as a nice little 12-part miniseries into, the careers and stuff of NR's biggest drivers. Um, it brings me back. This is where I got the inspiration for the McBasketcast from. It was a podcast called Long Live the Trades with Richie and the Captain. Um, and those first two episodes I would listen to just on repeat on drives to and from my college to my parents' house whenever I would go and visit them. And because those first two episodes had the original hosts, which were Richie and the Captain, and then they brought it back with some new host, but I have not bothered to listen to it ever since then because the original Long Live the Trades was amazing, and
They couldn't top it.
they no, because it was the host that brought me to it, you know,
Right.
and if I feel like if I brought it back for season 2, it would be kind of that situation where, you know, it's just like this is not the same McBasketcast, you know, you're not having the super big names that you had. Um, and I mean, at this point, I've already interviewed you, so there's really no topping this. And I I feel like it makes for a very fitting series finale. Um, so yeah, this is basically it for the show. But I hope that what I have done in making this show is has made some kind of positive impact in NR, you know, because there's definitely a need for positivity in the community wherever you go, because there's always going to be something going down. You know, people are always going to be yelling at each other. There's going to be dogpiling in the server after a race, and if if I have even, you know, made somebody's day even slightly better whenever they see, you know, oh, the McBasketcast uploaded a new episode, you know, it if that made them happier, then I would have done my job. I would have, you know, made an impact on the NR community. It doesn't matter if, you know, this show is talked about in every single server ever or if it's, you know, not talked about at all. I I did what I set out to do. And um, you know, at that point there's not much of a point in continuing on if I've already achieved my goal. It's been awesome. It really has.
And you've
And
done a fantastic job.
I
So
that means a lot coming from you, Mallon. I but God, man, it I just hope that the community fondly remembers this show and thinks it's a decent show because I mean, e- you know, they could either have thought it was the greatest thing to ever happen to NR or they could have thought it was shit. But if if at least somebody, you know, thought like, "Hey, this is pretty good." You know, that then I've achieved my goal and I can end this show happy. But um, on that note, for the final time, I'm Tristan Grace. He doesn't need an introduction. That's Tyler Mallon. So long from the McBasketcast studio. You want the money so bad? We'll gunfight over it. I'll write the exact row and column underneath this beer can. And whoever lives gets all the money.
Well. You didn't put up too much of a fight, did you? Let's see what's under this can.
Disappearing ink. Robert thought I was so stupid to think that he wouldn't come after me? No. There was always a plan. There always is.
What did you do? And that's how it ends, folks. With me dying in a pool of my own blood at the hands of Robert Kubat. I just wanted to end this video off by saying thank you to everybody who has watched or has taken part in this show, because I couldn't have done it without you. You guys made this summer amazing. It sucks that it has to end. But I'm going back to school and I'm going back to my night shift job, and it was just no longer feasible. But as a little 12-part miniseries like this, it was amazing. In my humble opinion, I tried to make it the best that I could possibly make it. And thank you for joining me on this journey, whether you were a guest or a viewer. The fact that you took time out of your busy schedule to watch or be on my show means a whole lot to me, and I can't thank you enough. So, this is Tristan Grace for the last time. I'll see you.